Hey dude, what's up? My name is Eli or Elliot, and I'm a non-binary trans guy, for lack of a better term, and I've been documenting my journey with gender on YouTube for the past 4 years. I just com- I just finished recording a video about my top surgery, like the technical side of it, like how long everything took and how I feel physically and all the rest of it. I had top surgery 3 months ago, and this is what my results look like. Ta-da! Yeah, it's gorgeous. I'm so happy. I have full range of motion back, and I'm back to all my sports activities. Just go watch the older video if you want, like the previous video, if you want more details on that. So now I'm gonna speak about the emotional side of what's been going on for the past 3 months, because it has been it has been special. Okay, so there's a lot that's been going on in my life, not just transition. A lot of personal things that have been happening. I took a month off of work, which was a big deal for me because I don't have any money. And I got back to work, which was a big deal because it was hard to get back to work. My mind wasn't on work, it was on other things, it was on transition stuff, and and I love my job. My job is very fulfilling. It's more of a life mission than a job. I mean, I'm grateful that it generates income, but I probably would have done it for free. I'm a physical therapist. I work with athletes, mostly circus artists, and I also work with any other kind of patient that accesses my services. But most of what I do is sports related. I love the studio where I work, and long story short, not being motivated to work really scared me because I am motivated to work, and it was like, do I have the wrong career again? This happened to me when I was in the high tech industry, and this feels terrible, and all the rest of it. And turns out, if you have a lot of shit on your head, it's really hard to be focused at work. You know what I mean? So, what was on my mind? So a month before surgery, I was really like, woo! I think you've seen it in the videos where I was like really hyped up. My energy was all over the place. It was really about like me, and getting this thing together, right? I had lost a lot of weight in that month. I had stopped taking everything and anything. I used to smoke weed before. I took a lot of painkillers that were subscribed, like that were given to me by doctors because I have lower back pain issues, but I also took them just to unplug. So I've stopped doing that completely for the first time in like 6 or 7 years. And I had been smoking weed for a year straight. I cut that off completely. Cigarettes too. I'm a little bit groggy because I actually smoked 2 cigarettes yesterday, which I haven't done in about 4 months. And my body is like, why are we doing this again? We're not doing this again. Fuck this. Anyways, don't worry, I'm not coming back to smoking now. So, so I had stopped completely with those bad habits, and then going up to surgery, I was kind of dating someone, and I think with everything that was piled on top of me, I just escaped into really falling in love with that person, which was completely not related to the relationship. Like it had an extreme intensity, which had very little to do with the relationship and a lot to do with me being under a lot of pressure and projecting a lot of things and having really unrealistic expectations. So, I mean, that person is very kind and they're still in my life as a friend, but as you can understand, it didn't work out. Um, but that was very intense and emotionally up and down before surgery. During surgery, like the intense period of being taken care of, so all my friends were there and I took an apartment and they were taking care of me, and that person that I was sort of maybe perhaps dating also was there and taking care of me, and it was like the feeling of being cared for by anybody and everybody that loves me, including my mother who came from Israel to take care of me. This is huge. My mother actually came from Israel to take care of me during my surgery, and we were so happy to be able to be together because it wasn't clear that she was going to be able to come. And it was really like having her like accept and support and physically be there was just out of this world. And then she went back to Israel. I went back to my flat. The thing with the dude that I was interested in turned out to not go anywhere. And I was having a hard time going back to work. And I was just like, whew, you know? So I really took that time to take very intense care of my mental health. I took up therapy again. Didn't really click with the new therapist, but gave it a lot of very hard work. And it was a very intense period of basically working on my body to get back into shape and to recuperate from the surgery, working on my soul, for lack of a better word, to kind of work through the mental issues that were really laying on me that I'm going to get into, and then trying to recuperate my work. So it has been very, very, very intense. And the thing that the thing that happened was that within a month or so of being on it, my job took up again, and I had patients, and I was just like, because it took off just a little better than I'd expected. And all of a sudden I was like left without any time on my hands to do the stuff that I mentally and emotionally needed to do. So it was a bit of a peculiar balance. So, what was so heavy on my mind during all this time that I just had to take care of? So, the first thing I want to talk about is maybe top surgery itself. That there's a feeling of like relief, like something that has really been bothering you for a very long time is just gone. And you can really celebrate your body, really be in it, and really be happy. And it also makes you feel like, Jesus, I have Jesus now because I'm Jewish and I'm atheist and all the rest of it, but some kind of exclamation mark. I have really spent a lot of my time on this earth, like being very unhappy with my body and being suffering, and that's gone. And I wish I had done that earlier because I lost a lot of time and been through a lot of bullshit just because I didn't do it. And kind of like I felt like I should kind of slap myself around a little bit for not having the guts to do this before. And that is also worth a critical examination because everything is like easy in hindsight, but when I was there was a lot of social pressure and the conditions were not met for me to have this operation, and it's not as clear cut as if I could have this operation at any given moment, and I was just like dragging it because I wasn't sure. I've been waiting on this thing for like 12 years. I don't think I could have done it 12 years ago. Not like this. And then there is the sheer happiness of like having the body that I'm currently feeling that I need. I don't feel like I will make any more changes, but never say never. So having that body is like you have this feeling of like my life can start now, which is kind of a big one too because it feels like there's a there's like an expectation that now I will live life to the fullest and the maxest and the whatnot, and life's not really like that. I mean, it just the fact that you're free suddenly raises the expectations to be happy and fulfilled. And sometimes in life, you're not happy and fulfilled. You're just dragging along. Um, so there's that. Um, Most of the time, I'm just fucking excited and happy to be in my skin, really, these days, and I feel gorgeous. Then there's the weird thing, which, even though I feel gorgeous and happy in my skin and all the rest of it, I don't feel that I'm sexually attractive to anybody that interests me. I am very clear on the subject that gay men find me attractive. That is clear as the light of day. Gay men have been trying to fuck me ever since I got a bit of a beard, and they have been on my ass since I've had top surgery. And it's very flattering. It's very flattering. I don't have anything against gay men. I find their attention mildly pleasant. Um, but I'm also not not interested. You know what I mean? The person that I was referring to in the male pronoun earlier that I had fallen in love with and all the rest of it is a non-binary person to whom I refer in the male. So, but they're female bodied. So, male bodied people who are masculine oriented have really been making it obvious to me that I am sexy to them, but I'm really low on feminine attention. And that kind of fucks with me because the women who do pay attention to me tend to be more on the straight side of a performance and sexual orientation. And I really have a roadblock there. Like, I'm not interested, and it's not about fear of rejection so much as it is about really, I feel a deep need to connect with someone of the queer community who has some kind of understanding about my experience and isn't a stranger to the works of what it is to be a lesbian, what it is to be a trans guy, what it is to be a non straight or non cis AFAB person. So, so the people who I end up being attracted to are basically masculine oriented female bodied people, which is like butch lesbians or non binary guys or trans guys at the beginning of their transition, which is highly unfair because, if I find this trans guy sexy because he still has basically a woman's body, that's not something that they're gonna be feeling great about. So that's one problem. And then those who fall more on the lesbian spectrum just statistically, just from bisexual people exist, thank God, and dating someone who is bisexual would be perfect, or pansexual would be just like exactly that which probably could click for me. Um, but it's just statistically, I haven't been running into many of them, which is a shame. Which is a shame, and and maybe there's something in me which is kind of like homesick towards the lesbian community that I always like end up being attracted to women who are basically lesbians or butch lesbians or non-binary people who look like lesbians. And especially the very masculine subtype of lesbians. And it's like, I guess I have some unresolved issue with these type of people. Maybe it's about feeling like I never really was adequate at being a lesbian because I wasn't butch enough or I was too butch. Um, or maybe it's because all and every relationship I ever had was a lesbian relationship where being butch or the other partner being butch or masculine, for just to use another term, did play a little bit of a role. Um, there was always something about that dynamic, even though I really hate the interplay between like the butch femme thing in the lesbian community. When I was asked to participate in that, it always like gave me a stomach ache. I'm quite intolerant to that dynamic thing, but still masculinity played a role in all of my lesbian relationships. And And maybe it's just that that's the only kind of romantic love that I've ever experienced, and I don't know how to do it differently. So that's one thing. And I'm not a very hypersexual person. I've only really slept with 3 people in the last 2.5 years, I think. And I'm not the type of person who really enjoys one-time encounters. So apps and all the rest of it, I don't really use them. I've been on the apps. I've been trying to meet new people. And I find that it's exhausting and it's very hard to make a genuine connection, and I just end up leaving it aside and not really being invested in anything that goes on in those apps. I do make an active effort to seek out events of queer people, trans people, meet more people of the community, not just with the objective in mind of finding a partner for like a sexual or romantic relationship, but because I feel that I need to be a part of the community and to participate and to have queer and trans friends and to have a social network that is a part of the community and to participate in the community, because there's something about being around cis straight people all the time. This is just bad for your soul. It is. It makes you feel like you are weird. You're not weird. You're different. You're different. You're not weird. Two separate things. Different is how you are, not like other people. Weird is the judgment about you being not like other people. That's important to separate. You're not weird. You're different. Other people are different in the same way that you are different. And hanging around with them, you don't feel weird. So I've I've been talking about like being very intensely in love with a person that the experience itself was kind of like detached from the person I was in love with, which is very odd. But I want to talk about that for a second because it's important. So I was coming out of surgery and I had really thrown myself into a relationship that was really not existent. It was, most of it was in my head. And the other person was very kind in letting me down and was just like, look, I adore you, let's be friends. And I was like, fuck. And I was like, okay, how do I unravel this ball of yarn that I've made with all my shit in it? And I started picking at what was making it so intense. So this person to me was like responding to a lot of needs that I had that I didn't know that I had, and I wasn't taking adequate care of myself. I was just kind of hoping that somebody would come along and take care of me and kind of like fulfill everything that I felt was unfulfilled. So what was going on there? So I think I put on that relationship first and foremost my being desirable in this body, like post surgery, as a male identified person, more or less. I needed to feel that, and I felt like this person could give me that. I really felt like I missed the lesbian community and that this person represented for me the lesbian community, which is a terrible thing to put on a person. You should never represent a community for somebody, and it's really a bad reason to fall in love with somebody. And then I felt like I wanted to be with someone who was investigating their being trans or non-binary, and like accompanying that process, which I had been through not that long ago. I mean, 4 years is really not that long. So these were like 3 very big things. And then I was also looking for someone who was completely not like my ex, like someone who wasn't young, who wasn't loud, who wasn't um impulsive, who wasn't controlling, who wasn't a very feminine person. So these were like huge things that I had like, I need this. Somebody give it to me. Okay, you give it to me, which didn't have a lot to do with the person that I picked out for the thing. And then answering these necessities, I'd really like started to do things for myself. Oh, there's a few other things. Okay, so like this person I had started an artistic project with, and suddenly I with the help of my therapist, we realized that I had been feeling very unfulfilled as an artist, and um I need to be creating something in order to fill that need. And that's also something that I couldn't be laying on another person. Okay, I think that's basically that. I'd also been like missing my home very much, and the sensation of having someone be my home, which I relate to being in a long-term stable relationship. So the sensation that there's someone you can trust, that there's someone who will be with you through everything, and I was kind of hoping for that kind of like union to form again, and that again is an expectation that has nothing to do with the person. Um, so I really had a sack of shit just locked and loaded to be sprayed on whoever crossed my way. So I was like, okay, how do I take care of all of this? So I started to try to answer these needs by myself. So the first thing was about feeling desirable. So I was like, okay, I need to be out there. I need to be having encounters that are going to make me feel desirable, which would be, I guess, sleeping with people. So you do that by not by hunting people down and being like, let's fuck, but by creating the scenarios in which you can honestly connect with someone, which I think is like going to places, meeting new people, flirting a little bit, giving it a bit more energy, which I did and ended up working. Like I met someone who I was interested enough in to actually spend the night with, and it was great. It really made me feel different about my body and my desirability and all the rest of it. It was not an intense interpersonal connection that I was like willing to repeat, but it was definitely a good experience. Like, definitely checked a lot of V's and a lot of all my boxes. And then there was the lesbian thing, which I think I need to be writing about. I need to be talking about. I need to kind of like say goodbye to my lesbian identity and sort of give it a funeral, if you know what I mean, and understand that I can be part of the queer community, but I can't be part of the lesbian community anymore. And try to grab some kind of queer visibility, because a lot of it was about being invisible, like being invisible to the people who interest me romantically, and having like lesbians literally look away from me or not see me because I'm a dude now. So I got this thing to kind of like tell everybody who I am, and recently I did this dye job, which is kind of cute. I didn't even notice I had the trans flag on my head until it was done. Um, I love it. I think it makes me very queer visible. I don't know how long I'm gonna have it on, because I do sometimes need to like have my hair black for work, for like photo shoots and stuff. Um, but I do like the visibility, and I'm also like, sometimes this is complicated. If I if I put like feminine clothes on, then I look like a gay dude, which attracts the wrong kind of attention and isn't really faithful to my own expression. But it's fun sometimes, so I also do that. And I try to speak a lot about being trans and being like women oriented or female oriented in my attractions, to kind of like just put it out there that to be seen, which is important. So this is something that I've been taking responsibility over, and it wasn't without any problems, because when you dye your hair like that, it's a bit of a statement. And I'm at a point in my life where my professional image really relates very directly to how much money I'm gonna make. So I might lose a job opportunity or a client over having like the fucking trans flag on my head, but um, at this moment, it's worth it. I think, because if I don't do it, then I feel like I'm chickening out. So that was about that. and then my need to be there for a trans or non-binary person as they are starting to explore their identity, especially if they're masculine oriented. um, I am going to answer by giving volunteer training sessions for transmasculine people where I teach them how to build muscle, because I feel like that is something that a lot of us need, and a lot of us need help with. And I'm going on like this crusade about my class, which I already give. It's already up and running for transgender and non-binary individuals to do hypertrophy or like mass training for building muscle in all the areas that make you look more masculine. That's something I have been working on. It's already going. I have people coming. I'm gonna actually sit down as I finish this video and keep working on that to try and get like funding for that. And that has been hugely beneficial to my mental health. That has been a huge thing. And then what more were we going on? Yeah, so I have some unfucking finished business with my ex, which obviously I need to go through in therapy. So I actually told the therapist that I don't click with, that I didn't click with her, and that I'm thinking about changing, and I'm gonna go to another therapist so I can work that through, because there's obviously a lot there. And hopefully I can keep taking good care of my body, because that's a huge thing. Eating good food, exercising regularly, doing rehabilitation for the things that physically bother me has been huge. And last but not least, as an artist, I need to be performing. So I have prepared a drag number, which basically consists of me reading a poem and taking my clothes off as I do, which I'm not going to do online, but I might read the poem. And I have gone back to circus training so I can do a straps number, which is a circus act. So I have a schedule for that, and I'm already in a creative process with the drag number. And it's really amazing how every time I took care of one of these things, then the intensity of my emotion for this person who is not romantically interested in me just kind of like went down gradually. And that's how I know I'm doing the right thing and I'm taking care of myself, because I feel better, I sleep a little better, and I'm just not as attached to something that I shouldn't be attached to. And it really is about liberating your energy from what is an unhealthy fixation to where it actually needs to go. And usually it doesn't go where it needs to go because you're afraid, you don't trust yourself, or you have some kind of trauma locked up in there, or there's something like stopping you. Because you don't need motivation to do the things you want to do. You need to unblock what's what's suffocating your motivation, so you can actually take care of yourself. And sometimes it's so hard to unblock this thing because you have to admit a lot of negative emotion, you have to go through them, you have to feel them, and manage them, and it's unpleasant. Then it's actually easier to go get your endorphins from somewhere else and kind of numb yourself to the fact that you're completely blocked from doing this thing that you really want to do, and that you feel terrible about it. So that was what it was for me. And through these 3 months, I think I have grown as a person. I've definitely grown as a person. My beard has gotten a lot better. I've grown. My beard has grown. Yeah, I'm happy. I'm quite happy. That's basically all I wanted to say. Peace.